In 1988, a fledgling policy organization had ideas. Ideas evolved into objectives, action, and soon, results. Today, there is no disputing the tremendous impact the Goldwater Institute has had over the last 25 years.
The Goldwater Institute is simply in the liberty business. And there's no institution in the country who performs that business better.
Quite simply, the Goldwater Institute works day in and day out to advance freedom and protect the Constitution.
The Goldwater Institute will accomplish more in a year than a good legislator can accomplish in a lifetime.
People are talking about the Goldwater Institute in Washington, where I live, I can tell you.
Have they heard about freedom of speech? Here with this incredible story is Darcy Olson.
Does it drive the conversation? Yes. Is it winning victories and changing policies? Yes. Is it proactively changing the agenda of the country? Again, yes. That's a trifecta that we call winning.
We have a very unique approach to changing public policy at the Goldwater Institute that works. We develop new ideas, we duplicate them across the country, and we defend them in the courts. And that's how we're able to have a nationwide impact. Develop, duplicate, defend.
The Institute's innovative ideas have impacted policy in all 50 states, leading to lower taxes, less regulation, and better schools.
We are a beacon to similar organizations all across the United States because we are so successful at vindicating principle in public policy, in the courtroom, and in the all-important court of public opinion.
The Goldwater Institute is a wellspring of big ideas, but sometimes those who need the Goldwater Institute most come in small packages. Like 9-year-old Elias Hines, who suffers from autism and hyperlexia. Public school wasn't working for Elias, so his mom, Holland, was excited when she found out about education savings accounts, a program designed by the Goldwater Institute.
Everybody deserves a chance to have a choice of where their money is going, how it's being spent for their child's education.
The New York Times wrote that the accounts are redefining public education. And when the teachers' union sued over the program, the Goldwater Institute stepped in on behalf of families just like Elias's and won. Now, policymakers in more than a half-dozen states are working with the Goldwater Institute to bring education savings accounts to their state so that all families can have the opportunities that Elias has.
I think that there's no other organization that has brought more dynamic change to our education system than the Goldwater Institute.
But school choice reforms just scratch the surface of the work the Goldwater Institute does.
There's no bigger bully than the bully who has the power of government behind him. So we're about standing up for the little guy.
When Washington bureaucrats tried to take away secret ballot rights from American workers participating in union organizing elections, the Goldwater Institute designed the Save Our Secret Ballot Amendment, the constitutional guarantee which is now law in nearly 10 states.
The federal government has no business telling me how I can or cannot vote, the manner I vote for if a union would or would not come into my employment. Having a secret ballot is fundamental in our democracy.
When the National Labor Relations Board sued over the law, the Goldwater Institute once again stepped in to defend the law and won, preserving the fundamental rights of Americans just like Raylene. The victory over the NLRB means that if ever Washington tries to take away secret ballot rights again by federal fiat, states with the Save Our Secret Ballot Amendment will be able to protect their citizens against federal overreach. But these are just a handful of the Institute's success stories. The Goldwater Institute's vast portfolio of victories spans the broad spectrum of freedom. Victories that protected Americans' First Amendment rights by taking the government out of the election process, with a U.S. Supreme Court victory striking down illegal campaign finance schemes in more than a dozen states.
This ruling has nationwide impact. It's going to knock out similar systems in Maine, in Wisconsin, in Florida, in North Carolina, in New Mexico, and Rhode Island. We have to get rid of the entire idea that taxpayers should be subsidizing politicians to run their campaigns. Government needs to be kept out of that electoral process. The citizens need to be supporting their own candidates.
The Goldwater Institute's impact has been felt far and wide, like the win for Diane Wickberg and her right to wear a Tea Party shirt to the polls, or a victory that saw the Goldwater Institute go toe-to-toe with the National Hockey League.
The city argues that keeping the team will generate all sorts of income. But when the conservative taxpayer watchdog group with the wonderful name, the Goldwater Institute, challenged the plan, saying it violates Arizona's Constitution, which prohibits corporate welfare, the city turned around and threatened to sue the Goldwater Institute for $500 million.
That's why we have organizations like the Goldwater Institute, so that no matter who is in office, you can count on us to defend the rule of law. And I've got to tell you, no city or person is above the law.
These victories are changing lives throughout the country.
That's what the Goldwater Institute does, is try and hold government to the leash of the Constitution.
Introducing reform at the local and state level provides a blueprint for national reform. And this is what the Institute does better than anyone.
Healthcare, campaign finance, school choice, you name a great national issue, it was road tested at the state level.
There's no reason at all for the government to be coming in and telling these guys how to structure their businesses.
When Americans think of their rights, certainly they think of freedom of enterprise as one of the most important rights that we have.
According to the Goldwater Institute, which is suing on behalf of Tombstone, the Obama regime is forcing Tombstone to undergo a long permit process.
The 10th Amendment explicitly provides that the federal government cannot get in the way of the states or municipalities protecting the life and safety of their residents.
The Goldwater Institute in Arizona has been at the forefront of challenging the legality and the constitutionality of this board.
The reality is, funding both at the state level and the federal level has increased remarkably in the past 30 and 40 years. And student achievement results, they've been flat.
This is why checks and balances are so important. As conservatives, we care so much about local control, but sometimes local control becomes local out of control, and that is when the state absolutely has the authority to step in to protect liberty.
The American public does not want this debt ceiling raised, and with good reason, because it means business as usual in Washington.
From Arizona to Indiana, South Carolina to Wyoming, the Goldwater Institute's work is protecting individual rights and changing lives.
We're not afraid to take on anybody.
But the Institute's work is never done.
Every morning I get up and I go into the office and work with people who are defending the ideas that matter most.
What you are doing is as American as the American Revolution was, and these people think they're the King of England or Woodrow Wilson, and they can punish people for public speech.
The military has a phrase, it's called being a force multiplier. The Marine Corps is a force multiplier because it's small, but trained and elite. The Goldwater Institute is not just a force multiplier, it's a leading indicator. It's an indicator of where the national argument will be in a very few years.
You all actually do stuff. I was looking at the roster of your achievements and thinking that the return on investment for the Goldwater Institute has got to be, I don't know what it is, but trust me, you're batting a much higher average than anybody in the District of Columbia.
Conservatives want results, and they are tired of paying for politicians who don't hold to their promises. They are tired of just paying for research papers that never go anywhere. They want results, and that is what the Goldwater Institute delivers.
It's thanks to supporters like you that 25 years after its founding, the Goldwater Institute is more impactful than it has ever been. Quite simply put, the Goldwater Institute is where freedom wins.